In a fast-paced, dynamic environment that the world is seeing, there's an issue and a question as to whether the world is now heading towards a global recession. We have seen an environment of falling commodity prices over the last few months. The US Federal Reserve last year was loath to increase interest rates on the understanding that the inflation was only transient in nature. But since they realized in 2022 that inflation is here to stay, they have stepped on the brakes and they have tried to hike the interest rates at every Federal Reserve meeting that has been held since. So we have had a 75 basis points rise in the US Fed funds rate. And over the last three meetings, there has been more concern as to whether they should continue their hawkish stance or whether they should soften it in the wake of interest rate inflation coming down. We have seen the inflation nicely come down over the last few months, and this has been helpful to many countries in the world such as China and India. However, the last week we saw oil going back up almost 10% in 1 week. Even on Friday, the NYMEX and the Brent crude both were higher by more than 3%. So this is on the back of the OPEC plus nations agreeing to a production cut. So a supply cut in the backdrop of an already rather difficult environment where the production is already in great constraint has added fuel to the fire, and therefore you see the oil prices back up once again, and they're closing into $100 range. This will add to inflation once again, oil being the chief commodity that can raise inflation targets. If that comes to happen, once again you will see central banks, more than just the jobs report and other reports, they will have to come back and start hiking the interest rates once again. So we have a rather difficult scenario where inflation is coming back. So far, the US Federal Reserve was being criticized that they are acting on indicators which are lagged in nature. Okay, the CPI and others were lagged, and that the current inflation data was not being considered by the US Fed in its calculations on what to do with the funds rate. But now, if this and the scenario looks to be here to stay, you will see that oil is back up, and that can impact the other commodity prices as well. Impact can come on the manufacturing costs, and this can squeeze the margins and the earnings of companies across the world. So far, the earnings across the world were not being revised, but now a multitude of factors is going to come and haunt and cause the earnings revisions very soon. I think that the stage is now being set for a good global recession on a fuller scale than ever thought before. You have many people talking about a 40% chance, a 50, a 60% chance, and a 70% chance. So different people have given different probabilities to the global recession. I believe now we have a 100% chance of a global recession in 2023. That will have its own repercussions. Friends, I must remind you that always in an era of rising interest rates, it does not happen that the stock markets fall. But the situation that is there is turning out to be rather grim in nature. A global recession will spare no nation. It's going to be widespread across the board. There is also possibility of a financial accident happening, and it can happen sooner than what you think. Okay? But the entire hypothesis is also based on the fact that there is no further production increase by the OPEC plus under pressure, of course, from the Western nations. There is always a probability of countries like the emerging economies, right? They having to face a greater brunt because the US dollar has also been rising quite fast. So, for example, we saw on Friday that the oil prices were rising. At the same time, the US dollar was also rising. So, it makes it double expensive to get that product in the country. I may remind you that China and India are net importers of oil, and this is going to come as a double whammy for these countries. So far, you had country like India being quite insulated, and in fact, it was outperforming the rest of the world. But if this economic scenario were to here to stay, then you will find that countries which were so far away will also start getting impacted, and their valuations can also come under great amount of stress. All said and done, there are people who attach different probabilities of a global recession, 40%, 50, 60. 50 is like a toss of a coin. So there are different probabilities of recession people are attaching. However, my study and analysis of the global scenario and taking it over a larger time frame shows now that there is a 100% probability of a global recession in 2023. We can even pinpoint to you the exact months when this will hit the hardest in the world, when all the economic data will come out and show in one tandem that global recession is now finally hit. And this will make headlines in the largest way. We will be telling you the months when this will hit. But as of now, take it from us, take it from me, global recession is just 100% there, and it's coming sooner than you think. It's coming not as far. Just in 2023, you will see it splashing and making headlines all over the newspapers, all over the electronic media, and this will really have a very demoralizing impact across the world. Can the Federal Reserve and other central banks do anything to prevent one? Well, so far they have tried very hard, but in fact you find that UK, in a country like UK, they were trying to reduce the tax rates to be able to counter and to put some money back on the table. The problem is that these countries have already given so much money to their citizens. The United States has stuffed the pockets of people to the extent that some people are not even willing to come back to work. So the unemployment rate is so low, but it is low because not that people, there are so many jobs and people are not able to find, but they do not want to come back to work. They're stuffed with money. So all this largesse that has been doled out by the governments is not yet done with. The biggest thing that can turn the tables on and make the Federal Reserve go the other way around could be the wealth effect. If the stock markets do fall substantially from here, I'm sure Jeremy Powell and his team will make note, and that can come to hit them. But as of now, take it from me, 100% chance of a recession, global recession in 2023. Friends, I will end this note here. And yes, do be a part of our Premium Plus. If you'd like to follow the Indian markets, we give you predictions regularly on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And you can email me at globalmoneyinvestor@gmail.com. Alternatively, you can also WhatsApp us on 982-086-1044. For those who are desirous of the US market predictions on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, you can do the same. You can email us at globalmoneyinvestor@gmail.com, globalmoneyinvestor@gmail.com. Alternatively, you can WhatsApp us on 982-086-1044. And friends, stay tuned. We will help you prepare for the forthcoming global recession. 100% probability. Take it from me. Take care. Bye-bye.